Trying to lock up the...
Hey, welcome, guys. It's time for Bollox Talks and Tangents. We caught Lenny mid-sentence there.
Which is most of the
Amanda's giving us a countdown.
That's most of the time.
Lenny just keeps going. He keeps going, but I was listening to you, Amanda.
I got you.
It's Thursday night. It's 6:34. Lenny, cheers, sir. We got Amanda in the booth. Blake's off doing some sport.
Soccer, basketball,
some Canadian sport with a stick.
Lacrosse.
Yeah.
Very Jim Brown of him.
Lacrosse or something.
Okay.
I don't even know what that is. I know it's created by Indians.
Hey, I'm from Long Island, man. Lacrosse is big business.
Yeah,
it is.
You got a lot of Indians.
I went to Cornell.
Native Americans.
Lacrosse is even bigger business.
Yeah. Are you even allowed to say Indians anymore?
Depends on who you're talking about.
Right,
yeah.
sure.
What was the topic we had over there? What what we can't do anymore or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh,
They don't make them like they used to.
They don't make them like they used to. But cheers. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We got a fun show. We're doing state nicknames, some of the origins. We got some word origins. Lenny and we're drinking some moonshine.
Ooh, baby.
White lightning.
And it's not even dark out.
Yeah,
Right.
white lightning.
Ooh, we should save some of this for the eclipse that I'm not going to see.
Oh, yeah, I still might go. You just never know.
I'm tempted. I know. I'm tempted. Yeah,
I got a big car.
You
usually can load up in the back.
Fair enough.
But I tell you what, we got a fun show. I got pages and pages of stuff we'll never get to. Lenny, you have pages and pages.
I got front and back.
Amanda just found out 40 minutes ago what the topic was. So
I got the internet.
yeah, you have access. You probably are going to be quicker on the information than we are.
Which explains how Blake always beats me in the quizzes.
Yeah.
Oh, we all know how it happens. We all know how it happens. But if you're out there watching, is your TV okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. No blood in my sputum.
Okay.
Yeah.
The black lung.
All right. Doc,
Hey, I was a coal miner's daughter. What
I
can
got Doc
tell you?
Holliday over here hosting the show with me.
just don't call me Lunger, and we'll be okay.
I'll be. You know that line was completely wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Huckle Bearer,
Right.
Like a pallbearer,
Right.
And it came out as Huckleberry,
Right.
So completely wrong in the movie.
But iconic.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But iconic.
Yep.
He was very good in that role. Poor Diane Val.
But you know what? We got to go over. We got to go over our amazing sponsors. I'm wearing
Please.
one of our sponsor shirts today. We got
Very
shirts
nice.
from our sponsors today.
Nice. I'll wear with pride.
Lenny, I got you a schmedium.
Thank you very much.
So
I will.
you-
It's a sausage skin, but that's okay.
I mean, you're going to have a halter top next week, so people know to tune in. People know to tune in. All right, when we're talking about St. Augustine Distillery and Citygate Spirits, today we are drinking the White Lightning from Citygate Spirits. And let me tell you, I probably have more moonshine than a lot of other people that I know. And that's why my beard's so white. And this is one of the smoother
It's very nice.
moonshines. I don't know if my grandfather would consider this a moonshine, but it's one of the smoother moonshines than I've ever had.
And it's funny because, moonshine to you Southerners is grappa to us Italians. My grappa, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandfather used to make grappa, and all that is you take, after you make your wine, you take the skins and the stems and the twigs, and you take all that must from the wine, and you distill that, and that's where you get your grappa, and you're talking your White Lightning there.
Yeah. So ours is made usually with the water from the creek.
Crick,
I don't
like
think
in my neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's down there near the creek, and it's mostly with corn mash. So, but this
Not
is,
from the
this
water
is really
in those
good.
foot
This
baths.
is for 100 proof, 50% alcohol by volume. This is very smooth.
There's no burn to it
No,
whatsoever,
which is nice.
And I did the baby version, put some ice in it because I have to drive myself home.
I know.
So I'm only having one.
That's all.
To Blake and Rebecca, who's always worried about me, I'm only having one. But our sponsors, these guys do an amazing job. They have great flavors. Citygate Spirits. To me, I enjoy their tasting tour because it's such a wide variety of different flavors. You're going to get hit all at once. But St. Augustine Distillery, I don't know if you saw that. They sent a bottle of the Saint.
I did.
Which is one of my favorite ones. They sent that to us.
It's not in the box anymore.
Oh, it's not. It didn't make it. All right. I was saying.
I don't know how it got in my bag, but
I was going to say we're probably going to drink that in 2 weeks when I get back.
I know it's still there.
All right.
I'll save it for here.
But you guys do an amazing job. We appreciate you every day, and thank you for our shirts.
And for being a big part of the community and good community partners too. These guys.
And I don't know if you can see this. but it's got a little flag on the sleeve there.
Nice.
I don't. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks nice.
All right.
Flatter.
And then the back is even cooler.
Nice.
So
Here at Troy's Haberdashery, you can get yours. We take all sizes, and we take Master Visa, Discover, and Cash Money if you still have that.
haberdashery.
Lovely.
Haberdashery, exactly.
Yeah. And
That was Harry Truman.
I can tell you this, you guys. When I come back in 2 weeks, I'm going to look like a different man. The beard's
You going snorkeling?
The beard's coming off.
Baby,
Beard's
nice.
coming off. I mean, do you remember seeing me without my beard? I
Yeah,
shaved it
so-
off last year about
Last
this
year,
time.
yeah.
For sure, yeah. Well, I met you beardless.
Oh, did you?
And so when Clay posted pictures and like, oh, I'm hanging out with my friend Troy, I had no idea who you were
the beard?
until we ran into you at Prohibition Kitchen
Oh,
one night. And I was like,
PK.
oh, I know you.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
just
yeah.
you just have pubes on your face now.
I really don't like you saying that because they get stuck in my mouth a lot. A little too much.
Oy, oy, oy.
I'm gonna go with her being an anti-beard person.
Fine.
Yeah.
It's just, once again, I'm so behaving myself.
Yeah. All right. The other one. They had a great weekend. Wonderful crew.
Oh, my
Meehans.
goodness.
Talk about them, Lenny. Brag about them.
First of all, we have every intention of trying to get there for St. Patrick's Day, but when I saw the lines trying to get in, the side door and the front door, we just passed on it and kept going because I will catch up with them during the week when they have a little bit more space.
Yeah.
But they were nonstop for 3 days over the weekend for St. Patrick's Day. I mean, they built to it Friday, Saturday, Sunday was the official day. Bagpipes out in front. I mean, they do
do
their
it right.
Irish well. They really do.
They do it right. for
Nice
sure.
people. And, I've got a little strategy going that I'm going to swing by there probably Monday when my friend Caleb is behind the bar. And I think we're going to get 6 or 7 key lime pies to go.
Oh.
And when I call them key lime pies, it's a little deceiving because it's more like I keep calling it a key lime timbal because they make them in soup cups and then they unmold them. And it's a brilliant way of doing
Did you
it.
say Tim's balls?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Which brings us back to the pubes. So we got to be careful
now
about that.
I was going to say,
Exactly.
where is
Yeah,
this show going?
Well,
I thought we were
and
talking
again,
about
I'm
nicknames.
behaving. And again, I'm behaving.
I thought we were talking about nicknames.
So, well, I don't know what Tim calls his balls,
Yeah.
but still, but yeah, the food is great. And I'm actually thinking of trying the curry, because I'm really typecast when I go there. But I think I'm going to try the chicken curry at your behest. So,
I love their chicken curry.
well, I'm going to give it a whirl.
So I'm a person. I love a good curry.
Yeah.
And
In a hurry.
Curry in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know? Amanda, are you a curry person, or you're either a curry person or you're not?
I'm not. I've only had a few curries. I've enjoyed the ones that I've had. There is that like aroma to it that I have to kind of get past, but I've enjoyed the curries I've had.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I grew up, and every now and again, much to my father's displeasure, my mother would make, like chicken a la king, and she put curry powder into it. Now, when you grow up in America in the 1960s, curry powder was in a jar and it was brown, and it's the aroma that you're talking about is very, very recognizable, and that was the standard astringent curry powder. Well, you get a little bit more sophisticated, you get a little bit more worldly, and, there's Indian curries of which there's, tons of.
Yeah.
And then there's Thai curries, and they're completely different.
Yeah.
Because I think that curry is just an amalgamation of spices and seasonings all put together into whatever you're going to season your dish with. And I do a lot of dishes at home with Thai curries.
Yeah.
The red, yellow, green, a little bit of coconut milk, put over chicken, put over shrimp. Great dinner.
yeah, Thai
see-
curries
see-
are delicious.
Yeah,
See, I'm-
yeah,
I'm-
and completely different
I like-
from what you and I are talking about growing up
Yeah.
with that
I like
recognizable
both.
flavor.
Yeah, I like both, but
Yeah.
I am with the group of friends that I have.
Yes, yes.
And my source of
Your
food,
associates, yes,
my
indeed.
source and my associates of food. I get some of the best
I'm sure.
Indian food you can ever. Like when hurricanes hit, I'm so happy because
Well, now we know who to blame.
we eat Indian food. We all go to the same hotel.
Okay.
And we eat so good. The ladies, because they're afraid everything's going to spoil at their house, they bring it with them.
Right.
And they just cook everything.
Nice.
And I put on 4 or 5 pounds in like 5 days at a hurricane party.
Nice.
So play left, right, center all night long. Yeah.
There you go. All right, Amanda, we'll bring singles and we'll show up.
Yeah.
Nice. That sounds like fun.
We're inviting ourselves to the next hurricane party.
That's it. So it's always a fun time. All right. Also a fun time, but not so much a fun time, is doing taxes.
Oof. I really got to
fun.
get my stuff together.
All right. And my guys, Abare, Kresge, and Associates, they're the best in the game. You think you're going to save money, you're not. You think you're going to do it tomorrow, you're probably not.
Yeah.
All right. But send it, get it together, get it to these guys, Abare, Kresge, and Associates. They'll take care of you and make sure you're getting the most out of your money that you worked so hard to get. All right. St. Augustine Pirate Museum, just beautiful people over there. Saw Cindy at the Tom Segura show. She was there, her and John, and just beautiful people. Love what they're doing for the community. They have the Bull and Crown. They have the Colonial Oak. They just
Really is a very good band at the Colonial Oak tonight.
Yeah, they do so much. They have great bands at the Colonial Oak. But at the Pirate Museum, they have over 800 artifacts. And to me, it's the most underrated museum in St. Augustine.
And it's funny because you keep bringing up the fact that every time you go, you see or learn something different. And we've talked a lot about over the last 3 or 4 months about pirate documentaries and going to the museum and seeing stuff and going back and learning new things. Well, I just ended up doing a documentary on Captain Kidd's treasure, which could be on St. Augustine Beach or in the Carolinas or in the Caribbean or in Madagascar. So you pay your money, you take your chances. Nobody's found it and may never do it. But now I got to go back there and see cross-reference Captain Kidd with the museum.
Could be in my front yard. I live close enough to the bay.
Okay.
I'll start digging tomorrow.
Especially during hurricanes, the bay comes to you.
Yeah.
It really, really does. It surrounds me. All right, Kaiser's Deli and Market. I think Blake ate there today.
Excellent.
Just wonderful food. They're doing breakfast now. Kurt, you're doing an amazing job. So proud of you. You worked hard to get this open, and you're crushing it. And appreciate you being a part of the show.
And try the Bollox.
Try the
sandwich
Bollox.
named after this show.
Try the Bollox.
It ain't bad.
All right, I like it. It's my cold.
Some might say good.
It's my cold sandwich go-to, and either the spike, the daddle Reuben, or the rolly.
The rolly, yeah.
The rolly is my hot go-to.
Yeah.
All right, Coquina Coast Realty. These guys know their stuff. Actually, this guy knows his stuff.
Small, tightly run organization.
Actually, my partner. TJ was just on the phone with me. You were in here when I was talking to him. Coquina Coast Realty, give me a call. I can help you with commercial, residential. You looking to sell, looking to buy. You have friends coming in town. I can help them through the process. And the good thing is Coquina Coast Realty works very closely with Walking Man Consulting.
Ooh.
So if you want to develop, I can take you from development to selling your property and do a full flip with you. And my number is 904-669-7901, 904-669-7901. I still have an apartment available coming open on April 15th.
Nice.
And I have a 3-bedroom house available coming open also in mid-April for rental properties.
Okay.
And just so you know,
pass that on.
They're not cheap. Everyone goes, oh, do you have anything cheap? No, I don't.
Not in this day and age.
No, there's nothing cheap in St. Augustine. So,
But gas just dropped 30 cents a gallon, so there's that.
Yeah. It dropped 30 cents.
All of a sudden, on the island, the
It shot
Circle
up
K.
last week.
I know, but the Circle K opposite the pier went from $3.59 to $3.19 in the span of 2 days.
Today it was $3.19.
$3.19 on my way to work. Yeah.
What? We do a gas
Couldn't believe
report
it.
every day. I didn't see anything that low.
Well, by the way, that Circle K, the Shell opposite the pier, that kind of changes by the hour.
Okay.
Because it starts at $3.19 and then you go and it's $3.29. You go back again and it's $3.19. I think one of the clerks there was just trying to up their game a little bit.
I'll make a prediction. By November, it'll be under $3 a gallon.
Well,
it always drops right before the presidential election, just so they can say, when I went out, it was this low.
Yep.
And they all do it. You know, Obama did it. Trump did it. Everybody before them did it. And I guarantee you Biden's going to do it.
And you know what? The sheeples of America believe it.
Yeah. They're like, see what he did? And they only believe that moment.
Right.
They forget all the others.
Right.
So
Go figure.
Yep. All right. It's time for the show.
Baby.
All right. You got a word origin.
I do.
I have a word origin.
Okay.
I'm going to do my word origin first.
Fine.
Because both of our word origins start with the same first syllable.
Correct. Different letters. Right.
And I'm going to do Knickerbocker. a Knickerbocker. All right.
Yeah.
You think of the Knickerbockers, you think of the New York Knicks.
I do, and they're actually competitive.
All right. You have any idea where the Knickerbocker name came from?
The Dutch. I'm going right to the Dutch.
It is Dutch. I'm giving
it.
you that. It is Dutch.
Fine, I'll cash out here.
You're gonna stop on that one. All right. So it is Dutch. I'm giving you that one. You got that much. All right. And it's considered descendants of the Dutch settlers in New York in 1831. Now the
That's
Dutch
later than
goes
I would have
even
thought. Yeah.
the Dutch even go further back than
Yeah,
that.
1600s. Yeah.
All right. And it's from Diedrich Knickerbocker, the name under which Washington Irving published his popular history of New York.
Okay. I'm
All right.
feeling a little headless here.
Washington Irving used the pen name Diedrich Knickerbocker. All right.
Okay.
You know where he got the name from?
The Dutch.
His next door neighbor. His next door neighbor's name is Herman Knickerbocker.
Good job, Herman.
All right. Now, I thought it was all about the pants and the knickers.
Right.
Okay. And that's what the war and the Dutch war and, and the +2s and the +4s and like you were saying,
Yeah.
and the knickers we wore playing baseball.
Yeah.
So I thought it was all about the pants. I knew it was related to the Dutch.
Yeah.
All right. But I thought it was all about the pants. All right. And here's the really, really funny thing. All right. It literally translates to toy marble baker. I guess Bacher means baker.
Okay, that
All
makes
right?
sense, but I'm
And I
still
guess
trying to...
knicker is a toy marble. All right.
So is that
And-
why underwear were called
and-
knickers?
And a
For your
German
balls?
See, now we have our answer.
in German, the slang knicker for marble, it's a schoolboy is for marble. So for a schoolboy, it's a marble in German.
There were Aggies, there were shooters, there were cat's eyes.
Yeah.
I never called my...
bummies.
Yeah, I never called my marbles knickers.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
But I wasn't from New York. You guys have your own language up
Yeah,
there.
well, yes, we do.
You have your own language up there. All right, so that is mine. I learned a lot, because I was like, okay, because New York is sometimes called the Knickerbocker state because it was the Dutch that kind of
Right.
got everything going. So
Well,
I didn't
yeah.
know if you ever knew it was called that.
No, but it was very interesting to know that Washington Irving used that as a pen name. Mm-hmm. So I find that very interesting.
Yeah, so that's
yeah.
where it came from. 1831, history in New York was Washington Irving used that name to write the history of New York.
That's interesting. Okay.
So
Good old Washington Irving and his Ichabod Crane.
Yeah.
Well, so we are talking about today's topic is nicknames of the 50 states. So my word origin is nickname. Nickname. So basically, a nickname is a usually descriptive name given instead or in addition to the one that belongs to the person, place, or thing. Now, nickname itself goes back to Middle English. And it was Icky name.
Icky name, and then went to Nicky.
EKE name.
Okay.
And then, now we're getting technical here because the nickname comes from meta-analysis. You got to decide how you're going to phrase this, but it's meta-analysis.
Okay.
And that is words that become... It's just not a compound word, but words that become easy to pronounce because of it. So it was Icky name, Ekename, and Icky meant also name, and also or in addition was Eke, used in Middle English.
Okay.
But it went out of vogue. So they just changed it to nickname for the alliteration and the ease of pronouncing it, and it still means the same thing. So Nick just became compatible with name, and that's how the words sound together. So that's where we got nickname from.
All right.
Yeah.
So, did you have any nicknames growing up?
No, not too many. I mean, I did in the fraternity. I got a couple of different ones in college, but so.
I mean, what was the nickname that stuck the most?
Well, I've got a dear and wonderful friend of mine who will call me Scrembly, but
Scrambly, what is Scrambly for? He
It worked, you know.
he couldn't talk that night and just
Yeah, well, considering his nickname is Crust, yeah, it kind of worked out that way. So,
Crust?
yeah.
not Krusty like Krusty the Clown.
Well, that's where it started from, but yeah,
okay.
but it morphed down to Crust, yeah. So that was it.
All right. Amanda, do you have any nicknames growing up?
Amanda Panda.
Amanda Panda.
Yep.
Yeah, I never ended up getting nicknames or anything,
Yeah.
but it was weird. I was one of those people in junior high school, and in college that.
Amanda, are you doing what's on the screen right now?
What?
I got to show you. We are at
Uh-oh.
look at the speed we're at.
Oh, so that happened to me
Wow.
yesterday when I was, or on Tuesday when I was on the show with
It
Davey.
literally looks like the show's at the wrong speed.
I'm a little overcaffeinated here, apparently.
So sometime, like it did it to my phone when I was on live with Davey. So I don't know what the deal is, but I've got it normal on mine.
Okay, I'm gonna go out and come back in, but in DeLand everybody has a nickname,
Right.
and the difference in generations today compared to what they used to be is when I was growing up, your nickname was whatever your closest or worst affliction was. All right, I was an extremely small guy. I'm not a big guy now, but I was extremely I didn't grow until I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's 5'4", my mom's 5 foot, and my sister's even shorter than that.
she doesn't break 5.
So I'm a giant. I made it to 5'8" and a quarter. All right, I'm less than that now. But I was extremely small, so my nickname was Troy Boy.
Okay.
All right, I was called Troy
Could've been
Boy,
Pee-wee.
and if I go back to DeLand, I'm still Troy Boy Blevins. And they used to say the whole name. So when I broke
Right.
the baseball hits record in DeLand, baseball was a big deal in DeLand. I broke the hits record in high school. They didn't write Troy Blevins. They wrote Troy Boy Blevins. Breaks
Okay.
the hits record. So when I get to college, still a small guy, definitely at that level of athlete. I was 5'8" and weighed 100, maybe 139 pounds, maybe 140 pounds.
Could you hit it out of the infield?
Oh yeah, but I could run
Okay.
Yeah, I could run, and my nickname became Killer at that point.
Well, that's a transition for you, isn't it? Oh,
So
my
I went
goodness.
from Troy
I
Boy
think we just lost Amanda.
to Killer
That's
within
good.
a month. When they ordered shirts and jackets for it, and I still have the jacket today.
That's
it says
funny.
Troy Killer Blevins on my Seminole jacket. All right. And it was given to me by Leonard Thigpen,
Okay.
Bobby Thigpen's
brother? Yeah.
his younger brother. And it was given to and Bobby's 6'4", 6'5", and probably weighed 225. Just built, and him and I would wrestle, and we, and I would lose.
Right. And he would pick you up and put you wherever he wanted you to be.
How I got my first hernia was body slamming Leonard. I had him up in there and body slammed him playing at Florida State. And, but it was just one of those things, how you call a Chihuahua killer?
Yeah.
That's how I got
Right, okay.
how I got the name.
Okay, right.
So, I tried to tell people it was because I was a lady killer, but it was because it was more of a Chihuahua thing.
Hey, just show them the notches on your belt. That's all.
Yeah. So it was so as far as nicknames go, I didn't get blessed with the best ones.
Yeah.
There's a lot worse ones out there, but I didn't get blessed with the best ones.
Yeah, no.
All right. So which state do you want to start off with? Yours is New York.
Correct.
And which is the Empire State.
Correct. Which, by the way, goes back to George Washington, should you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So New York State goes back to, it was George Washington. In 1785, he sent a letter to the whatever council was in New York at the time. And he said, the resilience in New York State's participation in the Revolutionary War made it the seat of the empire. And that's where the Empire State came from.
Okay.
From George Washington back into 1785. It's been kicking around that long.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing to do with that big old building on 34th Street.
That big building kind of is a symbol of New York.
Right.
So the
it
Empire
definitely
State
is.
Building was named after a George Washington quote.
Exactly. That's where they got it from.
Yeah. All right. There are 4 other nicknames of the nickname. That's their official nickname
Correct.
is the Empire State.
Yeah.
Do you think you can? Well, you know Knickerbocker's one of them.
Right.
So there's 3 other left. Do you think either one of you can come up with one of their other nicknames?
Well, there's the
Well,
classic.
one would be the center of the universe.
That's only from people actually in New York. No one else calls them
it's
that.
the Big
they
Apple,
should.
baby.
The Big Apple's
right.
one of them.
And again, that's just the city, not the state. But yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Same idea. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of that for the state, but I would
right.
certainly think of that for New York
I've
City.
never heard this one before. The Excelsior
Yeah.
State. I've
Yeah.
never heard it called
They
that.
had them on some license plates when I lived there.
All right.
Yes, exactly.
And
It's the
this
newest
one,
license plate.
This one I really don't get, and it was and one of the things I saw is Gateway to the West.
Really?
So I guess
What the hell's Jersey?
if you're coming through Europe,
There was
is that what it is?
there was a time when Jersey was the frontier.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but
It's
it-
like that New Yorker cover with
but I mean, I was thinking it might have been more with Ellis Island. You kind of
Well, that would make
Yeah.
Gateway to America.
yeah, yeah. So I'm wondering if that's what that was a takeoff
Okay.
of. But I've never heard it called that except in this one.
Well, you tasked me with expanding on the concept of Excelsior. We were talking about that Tuesday at Trivia. Excelsior is the New York State motto. And that's morphed over the course of time, too, because originally it was Excelsior cum dignate, which is ever upward with dignity, because Excelsior means ever upward. So originally the New York State motto was ever upward with dignity. And it started in 1854, but it came from an 1841 poem by a guy by the name of Henry Livingston Jr., wrote a poem called Excelsior,
Okay.
which is sort of sad in its comeuppance, because it was about a young man. The poem is about a young man who, against wisdom and advice from more sagacious people, climbs up a mountain. And the kid, fortitude notwithstanding, gets to the top, where he then proceeds to die amongst the snow and the rocks, and he's done. So it's part of his perseverance. But, he should have listened to people that had been there and done that, unfortunately. So then in 1854, and I love this name, Hamilton Fish, governor of New York, Hamilton Fish, used the phrase...
Loved him on Barney Miller.
Wasn't that great? Yeah. You said that wasn't Hamilton. That was just... But it should have been. But there was another character, Hamilton Fish. And I don't know if that was in Ally McBeal or where. But there was somebody else. And... he used it, the phrase, to work on reforming New York State government when he was governor. And then by 1882, the coat of arms was shortened. The coat of arms was made with, you got the shield with the 2 wings, with justice. They just got it. Well, it makes sense for New York. So in retrospect, it made good sense. They got rid of with dignity, and they just ever upward. They didn't care
nope,
about
we're doing
dignity. Dignity was out. They just shortened it to Excelsior, and they didn't worry about with dignity, unfortunately. So
Yeah. So, Amanda, where were you born? What state were you born in?
Florida.
You were born in Florida. Okay, so you're a sunshine. You were born in New York, I'm assuming.
I was
Okay.
right there.
What states have you lived in?
I've lived in Florida, North Carolina, and New York.
Florida,
Okay.
North Carolina, and New York.
Well, we did New York. We
Okay,
can do
let's-
Florida, but
let's
North
do-
Carolina.
Let's do North Carolina.
Okay.
I think Bobby
Bobby wants North Carolina, too.
would want us to do North Carolina.
Okay. The Tar Heel
All right?
State.
Yeah. So the Tar Heel State.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna throw out some other ones that have been associated
With North Carolina.
before it became the Tar Heel State.
Right.
All right. Old North State,
Okay. It's a little vague, but go ahead.
Turpentine State,
Well, that makes good sense. Exactly.
First in Flight,
Yep.
completely makes sense.
Okay.
First in Freedom.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a couple of them that dance around that freedom stuff.
All right. Going back to the Wright brothers, I'm assuming Land of the Sky.
Okay. I think the West would have argument
Montana
about
has
that.
something to say about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But I
Big
mean,
sky.
But
Big
that's
sky.
why I'm saying the Wright brothers. I mean, there's nice
Yeah.
mountains there, but they're nowhere near what's
Right.
out west.
Exactly.
So
But
I'm
they didn't know
assuming-
that at the time.
I'm assuming that's from the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
Well,
All right. And this one I've never heard, but I get it. Rip Van Winkle State.
What is? Wait, hang on. We started out with Washington Irving and his neighbor whose name he stole.
Knickerbocker.
Yeah, that's the Adirondacks, man. That's
Yeah.
the Catskills. That's
Yeah.
not nothing there.
All right.
Okay, but here's the deal. You mentioned turpentine.
Yep.
So part of the reason it became the Tar Heel State was from 1720 to 1870. all sorts of naval products, and I don't mean belly button. I mean for boats and stuff.
Yeah, to seal up the boat.
Turpentine, tar, rosin, and there was one more that I can't read my. Oh, I can read my hand, right? I just got to find out where it is. Turpentine, rosin, tar, and pitch for boats were there. Mm-hmm. But during the Civil War, General Robert E. Lee was the person who was calling them the Tar Heel Boys. Mm-hmm. And that's where that might have come from as well.
Yeah.
Robert E. Lee.
I didn't have anything for Robert E. Lee, but that completely makes sense.
Yeah.
I've got one for North Carolina.
Huh?
Yeah.
I've got one for North Carolina.
You do?
Okay.
Okay, let's hear
Yeah.
it.
So in coming out of the Great Depression, North Carolina's tourism industry, where they were trying to look for some kind of slogan to bring people back. We need some tourism dollars. And they came up with Variety Vacation Land. And their whole idea was, we've got a spot for you in North Carolina to vacation every month of the year. Okay. There's a part of North Carolina that's beautiful every month of the year. So it was actually a very successful campaign, and it led to a huge increase in tourism and tourism dollars in the late 1930s coming into North Carolina. So it's the Variety Vacation Land.
You know, they really missed the boat because it should have been smoke them. We got them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. But then they also turned that around to be the medical triangle and the Raleigh-Durham, and there's got to be a third leg to that triangle, is just a great place of innovation and education too. So
all right, what's the third leg now?
Winston-Salem?
Winston.
Maybe, yeah.
Salem,
Yeah.
Winston-Salem.
which, by the way, smoke them if you get them.
Yeah.
We got Winston's, we got Salem's. You want menthol? You don't want menthol.
Yeah.
We got you covered.
But when you say Salem, then you start thinking witches.
Yeah.
Oh, burn them, baby.
All right.
And they were not witches. They were just sensitive women who,
They just
And a dude.
and a dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be a warlock.
Yeah. Well, there was one man executed in the witch trials.
I think there were some animals that were also executed.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, the cats primarily.
Yeah, I think there was also animals that were executed. All right, here.
And that was, hang on just one second.
Yeah.
And that was a no-win freaking situation.
Yeah.
Because, all right, so we'll cover you with rocks and we'll put you in a lake or a pond or a pool. And if you float, you're a witch.
They didn't even do
And if you
rocks.
don't,
Yeah.
They're just, if you could float, then you were a witch.
A lot
And
of
if you
people didn't
sank,
swim at that
then
time.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you could swim, they thought you were a witch.
Yeah.
So they didn't even weigh
Then
you
would
down.
burn.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
probably better
Yeah.
to drown. I don't know.
I
don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Less
Well,
screaming.
What's
with-
it? Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
With
much.
as heavy as the dresses were, then it was hard for women to float.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they didn't think that women would be able to.
Hence the reason if you fall off a boat, drop your sneakers and lose your jeans, and then tie the ends of your jeans to make a flotation
Yeah.
device.
You can
Depends
do
on
that.
the temperature of the water. Because hypothermia can kill you before you can
Exhaust,
really
yeah.
get exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
So the temperature of the water actually has a huge effect on that. But yeah, you can make a flotation, tying your jeans, pulling it over your head, and
nowadays you can't. Young women, I'm telling you right
skinny
now.
jeans?
No. Again, and this is
got
I
my
won't
bell-bottoms on.
I won't go off on this rant too terribly much. But again, I see women, girls walking down the street, and from the top of their knee to their mid thigh, their
they're
their
gonna
jeans
catch
are
it.
ripped
All
the
open.
holes, yeah.
Oh, it's just god awful.
They buy them that way.
For a lot of money.
They buy them
It
that
makes
way.
no sense. This is, hobos, ragtag. What are you trying to do? Look like you are impoverished? Look like you sleep on the street? I don't understand it. There's no. I'm
breed.
sorry. I don't understand fashion. I'm not a fashionable individual, but that's just
I can tell
dumb
you this,
to me.
my most comfortable jeans have holes in them,
That's fine.
but they.
They
But,
earned the
but
holes.
you earn them.
I earned those holes in
Correct.
those jeans.
Correct.
All right, we're gonna move on to here's one. Connecticut, its official nickname
The Constitution State.
is a Constitution state.
Correct.
It's also called the Nutmeg
Makes no sense to me.
State. All right, I wanted to know why. We talked about nutmeg today and people grinding up and snorting nutmeg and as a hallucinogen.
Okay.
Kids are doing that. All right, but nutmeg's not grown in Connecticut.
I understand that.
So I was like, why is it called the Nutmeg State? And here's the reason why. Because of seafaring histories and prominence in the nutmeg trade. So it came through
From the Spice Islands.
from the Spice Islands.
Mm-hmm.
The nutmeg was extremely valuable in the 18th and 19th century America and Europe. Connecticut Yankee traders would sell actual wood nutmegs carved to look real in order to trick buyers. This led to the Nutmeg State nickname, even though they never ever grew nutmeg in Connecticut.
So they embraced the name from Bilkin people.
Yes. Well, I mean, just the same as the story of the song Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yeah.
All right, you know the story of Yankee Doodle
Well,
Dandy.
it was an insult.
I learned that here on Bollox.
All right, the story of Yankee Doodle Dandy is
Big hunkin' poofta.
yeah.
Can you say that? Can you say that?
You can say that.
Okay.
You can't hear.
Okay.
So stick a feather in his hat and call him macaroni.
Yeah.
Macaroni was a gay bar in London. All right, the Americans didn't know that. So they were like, "Oh, that song's cool."
Right. And we get pasta.
It's cool, macaroni.
In second grade, they didn't tell us that.
No, they never told us that at all.
I told you, Amanda, I learned that on Bollox like a year ago.
And so when the Yankees actually heard it, they're like, "That's cool. We're going to go with that." And then they totally embraced it, and then it made the Brits even madder. So so it's still a song that we all know today, and it was supposed to be the Brits trying to be snarky to the Americans.
Coming back to nutmeg for just 1 second, you know that nutmeg and mace are the same nut.
Okay, that makes sense.
When you get a nutmeg, you take out the outer shell of it, and then there's this sci-fi looking, alien looking, red waxy thing around it that's sort of, it's not solid. It looks like it would be in a horror movie type of thing. And then you've got the seed in it. And the seed is what you would grate for nutmeg, but the red waxy thing is the mace.
Okay.
And that's another pie spice.
Woo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty wild when you see them.
Yeah.
Really, it looks like somebody decided to take the top of a Maker's Mark bottle and
I was thinking Bluebell cheeses. Those little
Bombell,
red
yeah,
cheeses.
baby, yeah,
Baby bells, yeah, baby bells.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to run through our sponsors real quick. Coquina Coast Realty, give me a call, 904-669-7901. Commercial, residential. You want to do development, you're thinking about selling property, land, anything, give me a call. I'll kind of help you get through the process. I might not be the guy to help you. I'll get you a hold of somebody who's better at that field if I need to. All right, Kaiser's Deli and Market. Don't forget the market part of that. He's
Absolutely.
got great local products in there. Get in there, see Kurt, tell him we sent you. Just a great sandwich. Enjoy your time in there. Just a comfortable place to have lunch. Stop in and see him. All right, St. Augustine Pirate Museum. Like I said, I consider this the most underrated museum in town. So happy the Croce family brought it up from Key West. So many fun things to do in there. Go through, walk into, and feel the full experience of the boat and the interactive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, don't not do that because you'll miss out. It's a great experience. Abare, Kresge and Associates, the experience no one wants to handle, but these guys handle it with professionalism and save you money, and that's your taxes. Abare, Kresge and Associates, give them a call. Meehan's Irish Pub, 3 bars in one. You got Johnny's Oyster Bar in the backyard and the pub downstairs. Amazing food, amazing people. Stop in.
And look at the bighorn sheep in the phone booth.
Bighorn sheep in the phone booth.
Bighorn sheep in the phone booth. And I need to confirm this, but to the best of my knowledge, Teddy Roosevelt apparently was one of the hunters who shot that bighorn sheep. And I believe, and this may be, an urban legend, or I may be completely off base, but somewhere in the archive at the Historical Society, there's a photograph with him holding one horn and somebody holding the other horn of that sheep that's in the phone booth at the base of the stairs in Meehan.
That's so funny.
I need to find that out for fact.
Well, Teddy Roosevelt would come and visit Jacksonville, the building that Sweet Pete's is in.
Okay.
It used to be a gentleman's club, and he would speak there not infrequently. So he was in the area, so maybe.
Yeah, Teddy
Maybe
Roosevelt's
brought
one
a
of
sheep.
those guys that did possibly a better job not being president than he did being president with what he did with the national parks.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And what he did with everything else.
And Maeve, last time we were in Meehan's last week, she's like, there's a sheep in the phone booth.
Good for her.
I don't know if she knew it was a phone booth, but she's like, there's a sheep
Right, she doesn't know what a phone booth is. Yeah.
There's a sheep in the little room.
Right.
in that little box.
I don't know if either of you have ever been to Sagamore Hill.
No.
So you grow up on Long Island and, you got nothing to do or you wanted to do history. You go up to Oyster Bay Cove, and Sagamore Hill was Teddy Roosevelt's home,
Okay.
which is now in the National Register. It's a national monument. It's a historic site. It's wonderful. But man, oh man, if you are a little bit afraid of taxidermy, do not go in there because this man hunted and killed a tremendous amount of wildlife, and every single one of them is hanging in that room. You walk in there, there's a giant polar bear.
Yeah.
You want to talk about bearskin rugs?
He had a pet badger when he was in the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, he had
His daughter did, yeah.
He had more animals. And most of those were gifted.
Yeah.
Gifted to him from different countries. But he had so many animals in there, they had to redo the White House.
Well, someone gave him a bear, and that's why we have teddy bears. Because they gave him a bear cut.
No, the story was
I've been lied to.
No, he chose not.
Maybe just slightly misinformed.
He chose not to kill a cub on a hunt, and he saved the cub's life on the hunt. And when the story got back,
Teddy's bear.
yeah, Teddy's bear.
Of course, nobody mentions the fact that he killed the mother.
Came to be. No, he didn't. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. But that's,
sure?
that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Was it the Gund Company? What was it? G-U-D-D? What's the name of the company that created G-U-N-D? It's something like that. Created actually the teddy bear.
Oh, Gund.
Gund as in
Gund.
like
Teddy
Aggie
bears,
Gund, the
yeah.
guns?
Yeah, I think it's
G-U-N-D,
I think
yes,
it's the
Gund.
gun company that caught wind of the
Toy
story
company.
that was actually written in the paper, and then they
Interesting.
created the teddy bear from there.
I wonder
Yeah.
if they're
But
the
he saved the cub, and it made it. Oh, everyone had that moment.
I wonder if they're the guns from the Midwest, G-U-N-D.
Yeah.
Very, very, very philanthropic family, very wealthy. A lot of museums, donate to lots and lots of museums. But yeah, if you get a chance, if you're in New York and if you can get to Sagamore Hill, first of all, the house is beautiful. The property overlooks the Long Island Sound. It's a magnificent place. It really is. It's really worth a trip up there.
But it's a lovely mansion of death, you say.
Well, only if you're an animal.
Don't go there if you're a vegan.
Right. Only right. Exactly. Only if you had a skin that was worth something to stuff.
No PETA invited.
Yep.
All right. So
I want to go to Utah because Bobby mentioned that he's lived in 47 states, of which one of them is Utah.
Yep.
Which I find very interesting because Utah is the beehive state, and ain't got nothing to do with bumblebees.
yeah, I was going to say, where did that come from?
Well, it comes from Amanda will appreciate the fact that it's got a biblical reference
All right.
because it comes from the land of milk and honey for the Mormons.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's the honey aspect of it. And you're in Utah, all the state highways, any state road, the icon is a beehive,
Okay.
and that whole thing, and it's from the land of milk and honey. I don't know why a cow's not involved in it, but it's just a beehive, and that was it. And you would think that your knee jerk would be, oh yeah, so bumblebees, which you're not getting a lot of bees floating around in an arid desert.
Yeah.
Though there's a lot of mountains, there's a lot of forest in Utah. What a gorgeous, gorgeous state too. You can be in thick, lush forests, and then into red rocks and canyons. Bryce and Zion. Oh my goodness. But, Cedar City, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state. But I didn't know that, and that's one of the ones I was looking forward to finding out.
All right. And the story I have is the beehive. And when I was thinking of it, I think of Mormons as being, they're all about food storage and stuff like that.
Okay.
And the only food that doesn't spoil
Honey.
is honey.
Never
Yeah.
goes
All right?
away.
So I thought it was associated with that. But the story that I got is because of the hardworking and industrial of the early pioneers.
Okay.
So they worked hard like worker bees.
So wouldn't that be the ant state?
I think when I think
With
of
the
workers,
was the grasshopper just rubbing his hands and waiting for the leftovers?
I think the bees work harder than and they definitely produce something more productive to us.
Unless,
than
like
ants.
our Amanda, you're a queen,
Yeah.
and then we just do everything for you.
Just take it all. Just take it all in.
Yeah.
But it came from the early industry and how hard they worked. The Mormon pioneers migrated and they labored to build new cities, farms, communities across the rugged landscape. So they had it associated with the hard work of the bees. But I mean, all of these. That's one thing I love about word origins.
Yeah.
There's sometimes 3 and 4
Yeah.
different areas where it come from, and it kind of that makes you go down that tangent.
And in all appreciation to the Mormons, good, bad, or indifferent, and leaving the religion aspect out of it, man, these people were persecuted like nobody else in this country for a long time.
That's why they had to go west.
Yeah, and they kept going and they kept going.
They were getting murdered in Ohio, and they were getting murdered in Iowa.
Everywhere they settled, they would get murdered. It was legal to kill them
in Missouri.
Until 1979.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's just
it
fascinating.
was fully legal to murder a Mormon until 1979.
Can you imagine trying to bring that as a defense today in a courtroom
Right?
where in 1976?
Yeah.
You know,
but Your Honor, he was a Mormon. Case dismissed.
Oh,
yeah.
So they had
that's-
to leave the country. Utah was out of the United States at the
Right.
time,
Yeah.
and
Correct,
so they
the
had to leave
territory.
the country.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Brigham Young lost today, by the way. They got upset.
Yeah, you had to bring that up, didn't you?
They got upset.
Yeah, by Duquesne.
Yeah.
Duquesnes.
Yeah.
The Dukes.
The Dukes.
Like I said,
The Dukes.
bet against me and you'll make an awful lot of money.
All right.
They lost by 4, but they closed. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's just
I've got
not-
a quick one.
It's just not good. Okay.
What you got?
So Tennessee, everyone knows the volunteer state.
Sure.
But it has a couple of interesting alternative nicknames. The Big Bend State, which refers to the Tennessee River.
Okay.
Hog and Hominy. It's the mother of Southwestern statesmen. But the one I thought was interesting was Butternut Squash State.
Really?
And you would think, they must have a great harvest of butternut squash. Not so. It's because of the tan color of the uniforms worn by the Tennessee soldiers in the American Civil War.
Okay.
So like the Nutmeg State, it has nothing to do with
has
reality. It's
nothing
just
to do with reality.
Okay. But interesting thing about those soldiers. So there's 2 schools of thought on how Tennessee became the volunteer state. And the original one was, where do I got Tennessee over there? In the 1812 Battle of New Orleans, the Tennessee Volunteers absolutely were phenomenal, and they distinguished themselves dramatically. But then you fast forward to 1840, during the Mexican-American War, United States government asked for 2,600 volunteers. 30,000 people from Tennessee showed up.
Were they wearing orange and white? That horrible orange and white?
Apparently, they were wearing butternut
squash
squashy
color.
things. Right, exactly.
So Tennessee's the butternut squash state.
Yeah. Here's the one you left off from Tennessee.
Okay.
My family's from my dad's side of the
That's
family
really
is
right,
from
yeah.
Tennessee. I did not know it was ever called this. At one point, it was called the Hog State.
I said hog and hominy.
Sorry.
Hog
Yes.
and hominy.
Guess what my family was?
Hog
Pig
farmer.
farmers. We
Pig
know that
farmers.
for sure.
Pig farmers.
Absolutely.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Makes more sense.
Largest check my grandfather ever got was when I-75 came through his property. It split his property. All right. Second largest check my grandfather ever got. The hog farm stunk so bad, the drivers on I-75 were complaining. So the federal government wrote him a check every year not to have a pig farm.
Government subsidies.
Paid retirement.
Government subsidies at their finest. You got a farm? We're going to pay you not to grow anything, because that makes a lot of sense.
Papa Frank, with that first check, he moved the well inside the house. We had a well inside the house. Didn't have to go down to the creek and get it. Didn't have to go outside to get
Nice.
it.
Was it still
All right.
pump?
Oh, yeah, it was still a pump. It was in the kitchen. It was in the kitchen.
All right.
It was
Indoor
heated-
plumbing.
So it was indoor plumbing, right?
It was no. It was a pot.
Indoor water.
All right. So just this is in my lifetime. So just so you guys
I
understand.
know, which is fascinating,
Just
because
so you
you're not
understand.
that old.
Yeah, so in second grade,
Despite all looks.
when my uncle Argyle passed away, I remember this. I was like 7, 8 years old in second grade, and I remember sleeping, and it was snowing outside, looking through the slats of the house.
Right.
I could see the snow through the slats of the house.
Well
So
insulated.
You know how
Right,
cold
well-
it is
well
inside the house.
insulated.
I'm under quilts. I'm pretty
geez.
comfy at this point. I have to go pee.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Did you pee through the house?
The outside, the outhouse.
Outhouse, right?
is probably 50 paces away. It's not close to the house. You don't ever leave your outhouse too close to the house.
No, because your father would have to write a check to you to get rid of the smell.
And we're talking. It was in January, so this outhouse said, "You don't dig another hole
Till the spring.
in the Appalachians
Right.
until the spring."
Yeah.
So it was pretty ripe.
All right.
Yeah, I made it about 2 steps outside the door and just let it go right there. But I can tell you right now,
Yellow snow.
It was everything in my power. Is like, okay, I'm 7, 8 years old. I was like, how much trouble am I going to get? This went through my head. How much trouble am I going to get if I pee the bed? My sister was in bed with me, so I figured figured it was worse for her than it would be for me.
Yeah, but you had somebody to blame it on.
Oh,
so,
no.
No, she'd rat you out in a heartbeat.
Never. Me and my sister are close, but she would have taken the bullet for that. Because it wasn't like you could wash the sheets easily either in January.
Yeah.
You've got a hand pump in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No. And it was only my grandfather. I never met my grandmother on my dad's side. She passed away when my dad was like 14. So I never got to meet Grandma or Nana Winnie. So who my sister's actually named after Winona.
Okay.
So yeah, but that's why I called my sister Pooh. If you ever hear me say Pooh, that's my sister.
Okay.
All right.
That means I don't have to go. I'm not using the outhouse at that point. So
Not looking for honey.
What other states really caught you, and you found interesting in some of the others?
Couple that were weird.
I got another fast one.
What you
Sure,
got?
go ahead.
Alabama's Yellowhammer State.
Yeah.
Really?
The Yellowhammer State. It's a woodpecker, not referencing male genitalia, but I just thought it was funny.
Where did you just go? Amanda?
They got a hammer, man.
Yeah.
That's a tangent for sure.
Yeah. It was chosen in
I know
1927.
I liked you for a reason. Heart of
I know what
Dixie.
show I'm on.
Exactly.
Here's staying with Alabama.
And again, I'm controlling myself, so good for us.
Here was some of the choices they had to choose from
In Alabama.
in Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Heart of Dixie.
Yep, that's the one on the license plates, but it's never been official.
No.
Never been
No.
official.
The official nickname is the Yellowhammer State.
Okay.
All right. Cotton State. Thank goodness they didn't go with that one.
All right. Mississippi
All
would
right.
fight them.
Yeah. Stars fell on Alabama.
Yep. And you know where that comes from? I do.
What's that?
There was a meteor shower in 1833,
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
and that ended up on some license plates too in 2002.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Took them a while to figure that one out, though, I guess.
Wait,
1833
people
to
like
2002.
stars. Let's do this one.
Yep.
All right. Chameleon State.
Really.
Okay. Camellia State.
Camellia, not chameleons. Camilla, like the flower.
Camellia.
Gotcha, like the plant.
Yeah, like
Gotcha,
the plant, like
gotcha.
the flower.
Gotcha.
All right. Lizard State. All right. And here's the
What?
worst one, and I'm so glad this is not the one they went with. Cotton Plantation State.
I mean, it's very descriptive.
Well, yes. It was,
Says a
it was
lot.
accurate up to a point.
Yeah.
It says a lot.
Accurate up to a point. There are a couple others. There was one that struck me that was just kind of weird. And I found out a couple things, that the Hawkeye State was named after Chief Black Hawk, and and there's a couple ones that were manipulated by 2 or 3 people.
Okay.
The Hawkeye State in 1838, 12 years after the last of the Mohicans, which brings us back to Fenimore Cooper and Cooperstown and the Finger Lakes up in New York. There was they started somebody was reading something, and there was this newspaper publisher, James Edwards, who owned a newspaper called the Iowa Patriot. And then he changed the name to the Hawkeye Iowa Patriot after Chief Hawkeye, Chief Black Hawk. Okay. Chief Black Hawk, who was a friend of this newspaper publisher.
To not be confused with Black Kettle.
Correct.
Okay.
So it was 12 years after the last of the Mohican in 1838, and 8 years before statehood, they were calling themselves the Black Hawk State, the Hawkeye State. And that was all because of the James Edwards.
Okay.
And also the Corn State. Now, Illinois had a little bit of a comeuppance because they called themselves the Prairie State, and people said, "You got to be shitting me."
Yeah.
Seriously? And they got guff from the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Kansas. So the land
That
of Lincoln
tracks.
percolates a little bit better than the Prairie State there.
Okay. Did you guys catch any of my Storium stat the other day about Robert Lincoln?
No.
No, I missed that one.
Okay, so Robert Lincoln is the oldest son of Abraham Lincoln, and Lincoln had 4 sons.
And he was there at the assassination, yeah.
Yeah, and Lincoln had 4 sons. Robert Lincoln's the only one who lived to adulthood.
Right. Sorry, Tad.
Willie. Tad died while Lincoln was in office.
Right.
Devastated both Lincoln and Mary.
Tad.
And crazy lady.
Made Mary.
Well, that's part of why she was crazy.
No,
She
Yeah,
kept
absolutely.
losing
and
kids.
A lot of seances and
Yeah.
things.
Robert actually had to institutionalize his mom.
His mom, yeah.
All right. So Robert actually was Secretary of War. So he was
Really? When?
I'm going to get to it. You got to let me finish the story really quick here.
I have a short attention span,
I know,
man.
Yeah, I know. So Robert was supposed to be at the play at Ford's Theater.
Right.
He was fatigued. The war had just ended. He was on the staff with Grant. He was a captain on Grant's staff, so he was there at the resignation when Lee at Appomattox.
Yeah.
And but Robert was at the White House, made it over shortly after the shooting, so he was at the deathbed when his dad died.
Right.
First assassination. All right. Second assassination of a president he was at was Garfield's. He was Secretary of War.
Then, okay.
And he was Secretary of War at that time and he was eyewitness to Garfield being shot. Garfield pretty much died of sepsis because every doctor stuck their hand in there and tried to save him. He should have lived through that wound. All right. Third assassination. He was
Robert Lincoln's
he was at
the angel of
McKinley's.
death.
He was at McKinley's assassination.
I ain't inviting him to a party.
Standing outside the building. All right. He was outside the building at the same function as McKinley.
Was he killed inside, or wasn't McKinley shot on the stairs?
Well, he was. I think McKinley was shot outside. I think Garfield.
On the stairs.
Yeah.
I thought McKinley, but I may be mistaken.
But he was shot by Ukrainian. It was.
One was a guy's name I can't pronounce, who was a frustrated office seeker who was something with a G.
Yeah. Gorgon. It sounded very Russian in my mind.
Yeah, they were
But
Eastern European.
everything with that type of name, when you grow up in the 70s and 80s, sounds Russian. So you think Red Dawn.
Yeah.
All right. But he was at three different presidential assassinations.
That's wild.
He lived to be 82 years old.
The Angela Lansbury of state appointments.
He was the president of the Pullman Company. He was Secretary of War. He was ambassador to Great Britain under Benjamin Harrison. Yeah. And I mean, so this guy,
what a career.
He was thought about several times for running for president, but he was working at the Pullman Company. He was, a muckety-muck there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was chairman of the board for the Pullman Company up until he died in 24 or something like that. And the last living direct lineage passed away in 1975 from the Lincoln lineage.
That's fascinating.
But Robert, just Google Robert. His career he's somebody we barely know in history. I knew
he did everything.
I knew he was an adult.
Wasn't he the
Lincoln.
one that helped help the assassin, the actor? Who is it? It's
Booth.
Lee Harvey Booth. I was going to say Lee Harvey
Booth.
Oswald.
Right,
Lee
exactly.
Harvey Oswald. Booth. Didn't he help Booth at a train station?
No. The story of that was Edwin Booth saved
brother. Yeah.
The father, yeah.
saved Robert Kennedy at a train station.
Robert Lincoln. Yeah.
and pulled him back. Robert Lincoln pulled Robert Lincoln back and saved him. And when he was on the staff with Grant, one of the other officers knew Edwin Booth. Now, Edwin Booth was super famous, so Robert Lincoln knew who he was.
Right.
All right. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is the guy who saved my life. And he told the story of what happened at the train station. And Edwin Booth's friend wrote him a letter, and General Grant wrote him a letter saying thank you to Edwin. All this stuff happened before the assassination. Yeah. Now, Edwin was questioned quite a bit because of what his brother did.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff, like Grant took up for him, and the staff member took up for Edwin, and it gave Edwin some cover. And Edwin actually even went on to do one-man plays that denounced his brother's actions.
Yeah.
So Edwin Booth's another one that's very rare. You don't hear anything about in history. The person who got famous from John Wilkes Booth was Dr. Mudd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he ended up saving people in prison. What's the little island off of Key West?
The dry tortugas.
The Tortugas.
Yeah, dry
that's
tortugas is
where
there's a fort there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the yellow fever went
Yeah.
through there, and he saved so many people, and that's how he was able to free his name. But Call Me Mud never was clear.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's kind of timely. First of all, to answer the question, Leon Sokolov, Czolgosc.
Sounds Russian.
Yeah.
Shot McKinley.
Okay.
And, now there's a show on Apple. He doesn't say where he was. he was born in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, but it sounds Russian.
Yeah, I know. But there's a show called Manhunt on Apple TV now.
Well, to stick with him, didn't he want a job and McKinley wouldn't give him a job or something like that?
No, that was the guy with the G who shot the other guy.
Okay.
He was the frustrated office seeker. Was Gatou or something with a?
Is that Garfield?
Yeah.
Okay,
And he was the frustrated office seeker.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe. But the show Manhunt on Apple TV, spoiler alerts notwithstanding, the principal in it is Edwin Stanton. And I find a couple of discrepancies in it. First of all, if you see any pictures of Edwin Stanton, he's got Troy's beard on steroids. It's down to his freaking belt buckle.
Yeah.
Scraggly thing. The guy's clean shaven in the show. And also, I can't find a living son, Edwin Jr., but the character is in the show. But he had one son who died in infancy, and I can't find another one for him. So I'm a little confused there. And the thing that fascinates me is Patton Oswalt. If you know who Patton Oswalt is, he plays the detective who's on the hunt for Booth, and he's corrupt.
All right, we got to talk about Minnesota for
Minnesota.
That'll have to be our last one.
That is our last one. All right. Now, Minnesota had a lot to choose from. I'm going to run down them really quick. You tell me which one they should have went with instead of North Star State. Gopher State, State of Hockey, Land of 10,000 Lakes, which is the one I thought it was. Bread and Butter State, Bread Basket of the Nation, Cream Pitcher of the Nation, Wheat State, Playground of the Nation, New England of the West.
That's so funny.
Did I mention Wild Rice?
No.
Shame on them.
No. So the North Star State, it's the state's motto is L'Étoile du Nord.
There you go,
meaning
exactly.
Star of the North.
Yep.
This refers to the North Star or Polaris and guide early settlers as they trek further north. The North Star, steadfast, reliable, represented the strong work ethic and values of Minnesotans. Minnesota.
Minnesota.
So, Barbara Jean, we got in Minnesota at the last minute.
They should have gone with bread and butter.
Because if it's a wheat state, I'm presuming it's winter wheat. That's all I'm saying.
Bread and butter. Great show. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
Lenny, appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, good stuff.
Appreciate everybody participating out there. Please share the show if you liked it. If you didn't like
I got 50 of
share
them for
the
you.
show to friends you don't like. All right? Just get it out there. We want to make sure you take care of our sponsors. Go see them. Tell them we said hi.
Exactly. Mention our name.
All right. This is Bollox Talks and Tangents. We'll see you next week.
Well, some of us.
Bye-bye.